for Henrik Larsson, and Moravcik! His first goal for Celtic!
Here is Shunsuke Nakamura! Exquisite!
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Celtic Unrestricted View. My name is Ryan Clifford and joining me is my good man Mr. Alan Stirling. Dutch Delight, this is the day we finally went away. A long time coming, Alan. I hope you're well, hope the viewers are well when everybody's tuning in. Alan, fantastic result, fantastic performance. Personally didn't think it beforehand. Obviously I've got to go by previous results, previous performances. It wasn't looking good for us. I did say it before on the pre-match that you've got to be realistic. If you get a draw and a decent performance, you'll take it. But it didn't really lean towards that performance or that result. So I'm absolutely delighted I got it wrong. I didn't predict a defeat or anything like that, but I did predict it could be a potentially hard night for us. Thankfully, it wasn't. The players stood up. The manager got his tactics spot on. And again, mate, we won away from home. Fantastic.
Good afternoon. Aye, Ryan. Definitely. Hope you're well. Hope everyone that's watching is well. Aye, no, you're spot on. Fantastic performance. Phenomenal result. I think that we've shown in recent years how difficult it has been to get a kind of positive result away from home. I know Feyenoord are kind of having their troubles like ourselves, but it's not an easy place to go. You know, kind of in the past with teams that have went there, and they've came unstuck, kind of proper teams that have went there. So, yeah, I was probably with the poor start of the season, performance-wise, we've had. I think that was a shining light last night. I think I watched that, and for maybe the first time in a while, you're going, right, we're onto something here. That this performance is definitely a step in the right direction. No, high praise to the players, the manager. And let's hope we can kick on for it, because that is the kind of result that sometimes you see as that turning point. That brings that kind of confidence that we're able to do that more often. We know how kind of bad our away performances have been in Europe. Let's hope that's a turning point. But again, very happy with watching that last night, and looking forward to the game at the weekend now.
Aye, fantastic, mate. I didn't expect it, to be honest with you. I know a lot of people might say that that's negative, but it's not really when you've been watching what we have been watching.
I know what we've been seeing.
A lot of people tend to go with their heart and go, no, we'll go and get a result. And I've got every faith. But realistically, sometimes you need to take away your heart and you need to look at it before the game and go, it's not looking good for us here. Players aren't really playing well. We get a really, don't want to say lucky, but we get a very good strike for Callum that got us out of jail at the weekend. Performance was, don't really want to get into it too much because it was really poor. And then you turn up with that against Feyenoord. I thought when they get the first goal, and I'm thinking, right, here we go again. A long night ahead. But to be fair, mate, the character and the way that they controlled the rest of the game, in my opinion, there was 5-10 minutes, roughly, I would say, in the second half, where they kind of got back into the game. But I thought for the first time in a long time, possibly since Anderlecht away in the Champions, I know we beat Feyenoord away from home, but in terms of domination and control, and that was like we've been watching, Alan, domestically for a long time last year, and obviously under Ange. That's the Celtic that we know in terms of controlling games and dictating the play and defending really well. But didn't really give Feyenoord anything, mate. And that's the only question is, where's that been? That's the only thing that's annoying me. Not annoying me, but I'm like, where's this performance came from? Where has that been the rest of the season? So people might go with the manager this or the board this or this, but at the end of the day, they players are put in that performance, and there's still been a bit of negativity the last few weeks. So where's it came from? Is it belief from Martin O'Neill? Is it the setup? Is it like we need to kick on now? We are slacking here, or is it just one of the ones where the goal for the other day against St Mirren has generally kicked him on, and they've thought, you know what, this is a turning point now, and I hope that is a turning point, because as much as we've been critical of performances here and there this season, they deserve full of praise last night, because it was really good watching for a change.
No, I would be critical basically every performance, and that's why we didn't really see this coming. We've always got confidence that Celtic could get there because we support Celtic, so we're not going to kind of, well, unlike you against Atalanta, we're not going to come out and say we're getting beat. But I think we look at that game and we're saying this is going to be difficult. And when you break the game down as well, I looked at the kind of statistics after last night. I think on the eye it probably looked better than what it was, because it's the control we had maybe in the second half, but it was like 50-50 possession. I was exactly 50-50 possession. I think they doubled the amount of shots that we had. But I've been complaining all year about the lack of cutting edge that we've had. We've had the cutting edge of a sponge. I think last night you seen we were kind of very kind of accurate passing, very accurate kind of style of play. You look at the performances and you're asking there, Brian, you're saying, where is that came from? We don't know, because for the majority of the season, and when Martin O'Neill's come in, you're looking at absolute embarrassment against Midfield. You're looking at the weekend there as well, one of the worst games of football I've ever seen. I think we were in the hoops bar, turning around looking at the kind of paint drying on the wall. You had 2 shots in target. So it's a common theme. It's a pattern that's been emerging this whole season, whether it be under Brendan Rodgers, whether it be the hierarchy, whether it be Martin O'Neill. It's been the same kind of performances we've been seeing. But let's hope you might be right about that last minute goal against St Mirren, because we did see a difference last night. That's probably one of the first times this season I've went, that was impressive. I think we'll go into it later, but I think for me, and I says to you guys last night, I think the driving force last night in that performance was the 3 in the midfield. I think they were the 3 standouts, they were the 3 colossals. I think that any argument now who your 3 best midfielders are, anything, the answer is Callum, Rio and Engels. Anything apart from that's wrong in my opinion. I think they showed the quality they had last night. I think they were the 3 standouts, and you look at the amount of play that went through the 3. You look at the kind of assists, the goals, etc. Nygren obviously came on and scored as well. Fair play to him. But I think they 3 in the middle, that was the bit that I was really, really impressed with. I think that looked up to the kind of top level that we know that they're capable of performing at. But as you say, we need to continue that. This can't just be a flash in the pan. For 90% of this season, we've seen kind of relatively lacklustre, disappointing performances, which has led to kind of disappointing results. We had a phenomenal result last night. We had a great performance. Let's hope that this is the catalyst that kind of gets us going, and we kind of kick on for this, because it is a good starting place, because a win away from home somewhere difficult like Feyenoord, that's going to kind of bring confidence into the players, and it should be happening from now on.
Aye, Jai Pierce is from me Maloney. He knows I'm getting cold now, mate. So I'm not in 25 degree heat in the I'm in -3. So he's given me a new hoodie, mate. That might be the last, because it might not be fully on board with the hoodies anymore. But no, I agree with you in terms of the midfield. I thought they were brilliant. McGregor was different class. Hatate was back to himself. Engels, again, for me, was different class. If Engels is worth £6 million, we would all be saying what a signing last night. Just because of an extra pound signs on his name, he gets criticised more than others. I thought it was different class last night. Done the simple thing really, really well. His pass for the one who was it who missed it, Tenecki, was unbelievable. Again, he does that every single game, and there's going to be people that are going to go, oh, it's just a pass, but the technique and the way to pass and the timing, that's not just something you just do out of thin air. Like, that's something that you need to have as a player. It's quality, aye. So I'm agreeing with you on that. Listen, Nygren's done well in terms of goal scoring. He is a massive part of this team. He does look better as the weeks go on. But for me, especially for Europe, Alan, they three are your midfield three. We've done well last year in Europe with that three. We've done well in the league last year with that three. And then Rodgers changed it. And there's no coincidence that the team started to change when he's messed about with midfield. He's messed about with certain things. That's not on the manager or the manager. Obviously, that's on him in terms of tactical side. There's someone that set up. That's obviously done me. But changing the midfield when it done well last year, I'd say, Alan, that's something that maybe has been a stumbling block, because you seen it last night when kind of Engels was doing a bit of defensive work, but it was going forward. McGregor was sitting, Hatate was sitting. They were all kind of interchanging, and it was really good to watch, mate.
You look, Engels, I think a lot of his criticism obviously comes with the price figure that came on his head with the transfer. And I've said all along, right, he's maybe not been the most consistent, but you can see a player right away when he's got a bit of quality. And we thought last year that this was a perfect season for him to kind of kick on, to show that he is worth that money. I think you're seeing it in dribs and drabs. I think that it needs to be more consistent. But for me, when you look at if you've got the players that are on their game, there's no doubt about it. When you're kind of comparing the likes of Engels and Hatate with, no disrespect to McCowan and Nygren, for me it's different stratosphere stuff. There's no doubt about it that Nygren and McCowan are given a great kind of contribution to the squad, to the first team when they come in. But when you look at levels of kind of quality that these guys are capable of, I think you look at Cal McGregor, Rio Hatate and Engels. I think Rio Hatate, obviously I've been one that's been a massive supporter, but I think he gets a lot of criticism because he makes that risky pass. Right, there's a lot of midfielders that we've got or other teams that have got will make the simple pass and they'll maybe not get that kind of criticism. But Hatate tries that pass that's risky, and a lot of the time it doesn't come off. But see, when it does come off, he is a very, very special player, and you can see how talented he is. And I think that's where a lot of his criticism comes from. And people are just they're seeing, including myself, it gets frustrating that you're seeing him kind of lose the ball, etc. Nygren's your top goal scorer. Adam Eder was your top goal scorer at some point, but he's still rotten as well. I'm not saying Nygren is, but I don't see him. Nygren is the same calibre as the likes of Engels, as the likes of Callum McGregor, as the likes of Rio Hatate. I just see them on quite a higher level. It's a good thing for us that we've got a squad in that depth in midfield, and we knew that kind of squad. We've not even spoke about Paulo Bernardo, and he's kind of struggled to get into the squad and the team so far this year. So we don't know if there's whatever issue that may be. Probably we'll find out in time. But we had a lot of kind of positive hope regarding Paulo Bernardo as well. I liked what I've seen the last couple of years with Paulo Bernardo, but it's not really materialised for whatever reason this season. There's still half the season to go, so that might change. Obviously, with a new manager incoming as well, he might get a different output for Paulo Bernardo. He might fancy something a wee bit different with Paulo Bernardo, doing different jobs, etc. So only time will tell. But I think the important thing is that we can see in that midfield, whereas a lot of other areas in our squad and our team, we look as if we're lacking in quality and in depth. I think when you look at that kind of central midfield position, I think that is the key position, whereas we've got a lot of players that can kind of interchange with each other, kind of squad rotation, and I don't think we lose a massive amount of quality whoever comes in that position. There is players that are ranked, as I said earlier, there is players that are ranked kind of higher than each one, but I think a lot of them are kind of pretty similar in quality. So it's a great problem to have that we've got these kind of players in midfield, and I think finally we've seen last night those three kind of step up to the mark and put in a colossal performance. I think that no, I don't. But Aye, Hatate's one of the ones. I think you look back at the assists he's had this season. I know. I just think he's misunderstood at some points. I think when you just kind of you sit down and watch him, and you see what he's trying to do. You see that he's taking risks. You see when it comes off, it just looks very special for me. But everybody's different. But the one thing we can all agree on was that was a kind of phenomenal result and a far better performance than we have been seeing recently.
No, it was brilliant, Alan. For the first time in a few weeks, I was actually glued to the telly. I was actually glued to watching the game. What more goals, and every time we were up the park, we looked dangerous. And 1-0, I'm thinking, right, here we go, back to your European performance. And then as the game went on, before we get the equaliser, I'm thinking, right, they don't look great here. If we can get a goal, there's something here. And then obviously the goal for Yang, again, it was probably a surprise inclusion to a lot of fans. Obviously as well when McKinnon came in, I didn't expect many changes. I did expect Maeda to be up front, but I didn't expect they two to be, if you want to call it, out wide. I know it was kinda the way he played it was kinda like a 4-4-2, but obviously the team sheet is it's a 3 up front. But Kevin has played that kind of way with Dundee, but he's not played there for a while. But again, it's Martin O'Neill really topped up. Yang says that he's really good in training. Listen, he might be brilliant in training. I played with guys myself who were good in training, phenomenal in training, and it turned to a Saturday or a Sunday maybe he played and they weren't up too much. The pressure maybe got to them. I don't know what it is with Yang. Obviously, you've got to listen to guys like O'Neill, etc., who say he's a talented player, but it's alright doing it in training. It's like, what's his name? Russell Martin, Remato Sawata. The players are brilliant in training, they're this and that, but they don't do it on a Saturday, they don't do it on a Sunday, so it doesn't matter with training. Obviously, it matters to get fit and show your ability, but the main thing is, if football players, you turn up on a Saturday or a Sunday, wherever you're playing, you turn up and you put it in. And he's been very, very inconsistent. And if Yang kicks on now and he becomes a player that maybe the club think he is, then fantastic. But it shouldn't take you nearly 3 years, Alan, to start motoring into gear. That's my thing about him. He's very inconsistent. I just hope that now this is where we go, right. Now he can kick on, but he's got to do it in a longevity, not just a 2 or 3 games.
Credit where credit's due. We've been highly critical of Yang, and I think rightly so. I think his performances have been disappointing is probably the nicest word to say about it. So credit where credit's due. I think he had a good performance last night, just like all the team. But I think if we're looking and we're relying on guys that are as inconsistent as we've seen as Yang, if we're relying on guys like that because we've not done anything in the transfer window, if we're relying on guys like Yang, that just kind of epitomises how much the standards have dropped at this club. And as I say, credit where credit's due. He played very well last night, but it would just be like Yang. But if he plays at the weekend, he would come out and have an absolute howler, because that's what we've seen kind of all the time, kind of for the last few years. It's just what's expected. But let's hope that he does kick on for this. I've seen a lot of kind of posts that maybe his girlfriend's back in town because he had a wee very good form and the last time that happened. So maybe that is the case. But as I say, it's overall positive for me for last night. It's just keeping us on that track. I think we've seen a couple of decent performances this season, then that's been followed up with maybe 3 or 4 terrible performances. So it's about kind of drawing a line, right? That's happened in the past. Right? We move forward for this. We need to get. I've seen a few comments. We need to get to this January transfer window in a relatively good place. If we could qualify for the playoffs of the Europa League, fantastic. But I think we just need to concentrate on kind of domestic football first of all. And there definitely has to be some quality and depth added in January. But we've seen some massive positives last night that's been lacking so far this season. So we need to give credit where credit's due to the players. They did turn up last night in a difficult game. They performed very well, and we managed to get a absolutely fantastic result.
100%, mate. It was not just a result; it was a performance, which we've lacked consistently. We've had here and there performances, but that was probably a near enough 90 minutes performance, give or take 5-10 minutes each half.
My dad's got that. He bought that tap for me. My dad.
My dad loves Jan. But obviously, he's, I don't know where, isn't he? Was somewhere in Tenerife, don't know what he's doing, but he was doing something in Tenerife anyway, probably on a boozer. For me, Yang, listen, he's going to split opinion. People think he's got something. Joe Hart says he's got something. It's all right saying he's got something, but I had something when I was 16, 17. Didn't happen. Do you know what I mean? All players have got to a level. But every player's got an ability, but it's whether that ability is to take you to Celtic or if it's Barcelona, PSG, Man United. They've all got ability, but if this is now him going to kick on, then listen, I'm all for it. Hopefully Nancy comes in, but how many managers is it going to take? Because see the way I see things, right? See if guys like Yang, even McKibben, guys like that, see if they were good, they'd be playing. See if they were that good to play with Celtic every week, they'd be playing every week, and they'll know. So even I rate Bernardo, but Rodgers didn't play him this year. O'Neill's hardly played him, so you've got to then start questioning, are they good enough? That's just me if you're looking for the outside. If players only playing, it's the same with guys like Lagerbielke. But it's the same with Lagerbielke but guys like Nerowski and Lagerbielke. I thought Lagerbielke played well last night again against Nemaklo Sabata. I thought he was really good. So again, he's not a bad player. But then if you looked at it against us, for us, he was, to a lot of fans, he's terrible because he wasn't playing. But it doesn't mean that these guys are bad players, but that's just us as fans. We're going to think, Aaron, that guys like Yang is no up to it full time. The Kevin's a squad player, Bernardo's a squad player because they're not playing consistently. But if he's performing like last night in training and he can do it on a consistent basis, I'm going to go, right, fair enough, right? Maybe I was wrong, but we're no wrong because you can only go on the evidence of what you're seeing. And Aaron, you'll get people on social media and Twitter that will say, you said that. But you can only comment at a time before it happens. And before Yang played last night, everybody was saying he was just, because that is the truth. You can only comment on you see.
I think, Ryan, but the problem we've got with players like Yang is they've been here for that long and they've underperformed drastically for that long. That there's before we put us as fans put trust in, they're going to put in performance after performance. There's a long road back. Because we've seen it consistently that they've underperformed. So for us to put trust in that Yang's going to play the next game and he's going to perform like he did last night, you wouldn't exactly put your last 50 pence or something on that, would you? I'd be going the opposite way. So as I say, we're trying to be as positive as possible that Yang had a good performance last night. It's probably the best we've seen him in a while, but can that continue? That's the next question, because we have got players there that we know can go on a run of games, that we know that can put in performance after performance. Yang isn't one of them. Yang's the one that as soon as you see the team sheet last night, we were like, oh Jesus, right? What we doing here, Martin? Well, I think he's forgot to put the spectacles on, but he's wrote the wrong name there. But as I say, credit where credit's due. We have been highly critical, and I think rightly so. As you say, that's the evidence that's there. The evidence before us that Yang's not been up to that level. But he did play well last night, so credit where credit's due. It's just like anything. What we've really touched, obviously, with the incoming manager, with that. We're doing guesswork. We can all kind of do our homework, look online, and our homework's Google. We don't know that week, but we're hearing other people say it, and we're hoping that he's going to be a great manager coming in. But the evidence, it looks like a massive step up. But that might be proven wrong. That evidence, he might come in, absolutely tear it up, and I hope to God he does. But we can only go on what we've seen in the past. We're no Mystic Meg. We can't predict the future if it's going to happen, or whether Yang's going to go on a run of games, whether Ballardo's going to come back into the team, whether Nancy's going to come in here and win his treble after treble. That's just guesswork. So we can only go, as you say, with the evidence at hand. And with Yang, the evidence at hand was that he was underperforming the majority of the time. But again, just to caveat that, with credit where credit's due, he done very well last night, and probably the last performance is the most important one.
And obviously, the second goal, Maeda done really well, closing down. Apart from there was 2 or 3 in the first half where I was really getting off my head with him. I was like, nah, he's gone here. Just his attitude was terrible. The wee fancy flicks, and that doesn't wash with me. And then the second half, it just came alive. Like the days in Maeda that we've seen through the years. That was brilliant. That was that. Aye, a half time. I'm thinking get him off because he was just. It just didn't look like he was caring on. But then the second half, it was different class. The chasing is priceless for Hatate's goal. And I'll tell you what, Hatate, to keep that ball down and measure it was what a finish, because that could have went anywhere. It could have went away at Amsterdam.
Honestly, I think that's underestimated that ball in, because it's meant, and that run as well, the vision, and that's the kind of quality you get. I know that we spoke about that, but you're spot on with that technique to keep the ball down in that kind of environment, that situation that is just, the ball's just unexpectedly came to you. It's a technique to do that. You know, it's not as easy. You'll see a lot of players, like how many times did we see Ryan Christie kind of skying a ball into London Road? It's not an easy technique to keep the ball down. And you're spot on. He done very well. He kind of pull that off and keep calm and collected and make sure that was a goal.
No, it was a brilliant goal, Alan. Absolutely brilliant. And then obviously the third goal that sealed the game, Benjamin Nygren, fantastic strike. Again, Maeda, brilliant for that goal as well. Again, that's all we ask for. These guys is to perform like that. In terms of the performance level, as JP says in the comments, they left everything on the park last night for the first time in a long time. Everything was I'm not saying they're no trying, but what I mean is the effort level, the pressing, everything was there last night, and it's not been there some games. Some of the pressing has been well off it in some of the games, but last night everybody was at it for me, even defensively. Trusting Scales, apart from the first goal, Scales was a wee bit, and Tierney was a wee bit behind me for the goal, but apart from that, I think the Trusty as well was too far on top of it was basically too far forward a wee bit, but apart from that, I thought the two were really good at the back yesterday. Trusty again, for me, it's beggars belief how he's not been playing more, even last year, into this year, sorry. I don't know why he's not been playing much, because the £6 million for Trusty starting to look like a decent buy now, Alan, in terms of the last few games. If you just go on the evidence of the last few games, before that you're thinking, right, he's done all right, but some games he's no shown that he's up to the level. But the last few games, mate, for me, Austin Trusty's been one of your first team sheet picks, because he's been really good, mate, the last few games. And again, there's no coincidence it's helping Scales, because when Carter Vickers was a wee bit in and out, Scales a bit in and out. So when the partnership's solid, mate, it obviously helps the team.
No, definitely. I think you touched upon the first goal with the goal we conceded. I think as much as Will Scales has come on kind of leaps and bounds, and he's became an integral part of the side, whether we agree with that or not, I think there's the few times that we've seen him kind of make mistakes. He's usually quite good when he's static defending. I think we've seen mistakes. When you look back at, I think it was Aberdeen, was it last year or the year before, when there's balls kind of played over the top, I think that's when you can look a bit suspect. But nobody's perfect, as I say. It's not turning into a skills bashing, because every player, as you say, played great last night. So that's just the kind of the wee bits that we can pick up on. In regards to Austin Trusty, there was something I noticed last night as well, that we kind of criticised them for was it the Dundee game last year? maybe
G-Doc says it there, aye.
Aye. So we rightly criticised him. I didn't even see that comment there. So great minds think alike. But we questioned him about his kind of physicality. I noticed the difference last night. I thought he was more physical, and even to the point when somebody was hassling him at the corner, he basically went up and just shoved him out the way. I know that could go bad sometimes, and the referee can see that a different way. But you can see he's being a lot more physical, and maybe he's adjusting and realising what it takes to be a defender at Celtic, that you need to be that wee bit more physical. So,
do you think, Alan, it's confidence as well?
That probably with every player it can be confidence, but I think I didn't question his confidence maybe last year. I thought he started off when he came in brilliantly well. I thought that we had a good player in my hands. I said this last year. But how weak he was in physicality against kind of the likes of Simon Murray and lots of other players as well. That's when we started to question, right, maybe you're not up to this. But I think he's come back in this season, and I think he's massively improved with that. We'll see in kind of games upcoming as well if that's consistent. But I seen last night definite improvement. And I think primarily it's about physicality, because there's no doubt about it that we seen last year he was good going forward with the ball, decent amount of pace, he's decent defender. I think when it just came to the one-on-ones with physicality, that's where they probably let himself down. But if he's improving that side of his game, I think we will have a pretty accomplished defender there if he continues to kind of improve that side of his game. So yeah, after last night, it's definitely all positive, and we kind of look forward.
Obviously, we mentioned the middle of the park. Alan Engels for me was brilliant. The midfield were brilliant, but we small mention for obviously Kobe Donovan. I did think Wilson would play. I was surprised he didn't play. Again, this is how confusing football is to me, Alan. Right, Kobe Donovan's hardly kicked the ball under O'Neill. He's streaming in some of the squads in terms of no on the bench. Bernardo again, Harley played, then he plays him. He comes on against Midtjylland. Harley plays in the league, brings him on against Feyenoord. I'm like, well, if they're good enough to play in Europe, they're also good enough to play domestically. That's what frustrates. I don't know if it frustrates yourself or.
Martin Hill still played him a lot. Don't kid yourself there.
He still put him on. He still put him on last night.
Did you say he'd evidently become a great defender with it? Jesus.
No, I don't think. For me, I don't think Dane Murray's going to make it at Celtic longer term. I just, he might have the attributes to be a good football player. Maybe if it's the lower league of the SPFL. Listen, I could be absolutely wrong. Sorry, the SPL. It could be like Aberdeen or something like that. But for me, definitely is another loan move if he's going to try and get in this team, because I might not be Scales' biggest fan, but right now he's playing really well for us. Trust he's playing really well. Vickers, when he's fit, will be back in the team. So right away, Dane Murray's free in front of him. And you probably imagine Wilfred Nancy will probably buy a centre-back or one or two that he knows. So unless Dane Murray really shows up in Nancy's first training sessions, I personally can't see it. But touched on Kobe Donovan, Aaron, I thought he was really good last night. Again, probably his best performance. I know he done well against, was it Belgrade he played? I think he played right back against Belgrade, am I right in saying? Am I right in that? But I thought he was good last night. He was solid defensively, he was physical. Again, maybe it's confidence, but that's the thing, I'm frustrating. It frustrates me, how can you start him against Feyenoord and he's that good against Feyenoord? Listen, I don't think it's a fluke. I think the boy has got something. Whether or not it's up to the level of Johnson, etc., I don't know. We can't question. Like he says, that's guesswork in reality, because he is only a young player. But he can't play against, i.e., let the sit in the full game, or come on in against, like, I know he played certain games in the league, but what I mean is, how can you not play against, like, Rangers at Hampden, but then he can throw him in against Feyenoord? That frustrates me. If you're good enough to play that game against Feyenoord, he's then good enough to play in Sunday. He's then good to play the following week. Keep playing him in. If you think he's brilliant, or you think he's the best choice, play him. But I think you go back to the Alks on Sunday. I just think that's the way he'll do it.
I think with young players like that, I agree with you. It's strange which games he's been playing. Because you would think instead of Feyenoord, they'd maybe play against the likes of, whether it be Falkirk or etc. One of the games you'd think they'd be maybe easier to bench you in, but I agree that these kind of young players maybe need managed as well. I think the prime example there is look at Dave Murray, right? Whether he's got something or not, I was only having a laugh with JP, whether he's got kind of attributes or no, his confidence after that game, that last one, is taking a major hit. And that's what I'm saying. You need to kind of manage. They might not be that young, but you need to manage these players into it as well. You can't just throw them in and play every game. These players need to be picked. That's what your manager's for. You need to choose the kind of correct games so that these young players are progressing, so that you're no kind of ruining them. Because you've seen it in the past with kind of players that are kind of ruined as well. And I think probably Murray's I'm not saying he's ruined, but it's definitely he's took a hit to the confidence there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only human, so it's no a slight on him. But with regards to Kobe Donovan, I thought he put in a great performance last night as well. I probably agree with you. We'll probably see Ralston at the weekend. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see Donovan. But I think he's a player that's just started to come into the Celtic squad and the Celtic team. I think he's done relatively well, and I think he's shown that last night as well. So again another where credits due. I think he needs kind of applauded for the performances that he's been put in when he's been called upon.
Obviously, Alan, we quick chat about obviously Sunday, then obviously a wee bit about the manager coming in. What you think of that? Obviously, but we are speaking to Jonathan on Monday, so we'll get a more in-depth analysis and in-depth kind of detail of what he thinks of Nancy and what we could be getting. So that'll be interesting. But obviously, Hibs on Sunday, Alan, do you think after the game at the weekend he'll make some changes, or do you think it's best to go with the momentum? Again, I'm only saying it might go with Ralston just because that's what he's been doing. He's been going with Ralston, Donovan, Ralston, and then Johnson injured Ralston. So I'm trying to think of what he would do. But personally, for me, I would try and go with the same team, build a bit of momentum. As much as Tanetki might be better than Yang, by the way, for me, Tanetki flatters to deceive. He does the fancy tricks. He does show, by the way, he does show a lot of creativity. But his final products, they were near what I'm wanting. People might say, "Oh, it's now November." People, it's November now. He's got what 1-2 assists after that. I think has he 1 assist? I think 1 goal, something like that. So for me, if I guess we're talking about standards, and Abada come in, boom, right away. Jota took a few games, but it was by November. It was better. It was better than this. Yang, not really done much. James Forrest, not done. But guys we've signed in the past, some wingers, we all know wingers are inconsistent. And I'm a big advocate for that. I think wingers are inconsistent. But people can say these are young players. But look at Abada. Young player, was it 19? Boom. He was raw as hell. Assists, goals. Jota, assists, goals. Taneki's come in. He's shown flashes. But for me, mate, I think he flatters to deceive. So see if Yang's in this vein of form that he's in, continue to play him, because as much as I'm critical of Yang Allen, the only way he's going to get better or get a chance to prove anything is by playing him consistently. If you drop him to the bench at the weekend, you're going to go, well, what's the point? Because how's he going to get any confidence or any vein of form if you just go, right, we've signed the boy to net. By the way, Balawisha, scout to this boy for how long? And he looks like, again, I don't want to be disrespectful, but he looks nowhere near the level that we're looking for. Could Nancy change that? I don't know, mate, but I definitely think for Sunday, as much as possible, barring any injuries, I would try and go with the same team, mate, and just keep momentum.
No, you could be right. I think there might be a few changes with Tanetki. I agree. It looks as if he's exciting. I think that he's definitely got quality there. Whether he has to kind of work in his end product, I think that's probably what I'm looking for. I'm not making a kind of a judgment. I know it's November already, but we've seen what happened with Kuhn before as well. And then we've seen him kind of kick into gear. So we'll wait until maybe later on in the season before I'll make full judgment. You look at Balawisha, I don't know, maybe he was bullying Ross Desmond. I don't know how he got that move. But it's, again, I'm saying, right, I'll no make full judgment on Bartleby yet, because we've seen in the past it goes back to bite you. We could come out and go, oh, Tanecki's a brilliant player, but in the next few games he might his form might fall off a cliff, and then we'll be seeing with Nicholas Quinn as well. Nicholas Quinn started
off terrible. Alan, in terms of Tanecki's stats and assists, it's not great. It's all right saying it's all right. I'm the same as you. I think he's exciting, right? I think he's on the ball. He looks good, but in terms of what I'm wanting for a winger, he's not providing it. He's not providing assists. He's not providing goals. So all these step overs and all that, that's fine. But you need to do it. Do you know what I mean?
I will give them maybe a chance before I make kind of full judgment. I've said that both ways, whether I think the player's great or I think the player's playing poor. You give them a few months, etc., before you make kind of full judgment. So I'll make, at the minute, Bartleby should still look great, but as I've said a number of times, that's what happened with Kuhn. But I think you're looking at standards as well, and you continue to say, I've continued to say, the standards that we're applying at this club just now, and that's where they're falling off a cliff. We're looking at, like, Tanecki, he's come in and we're seeing him as the next Messiah, and it's like, Tanecki, is he really better than Abada? Well, for me, I think Abada's better. Is he better than Jota? Well, for me, I think Jota's better. Is he better than Kuhn? Oh, that's that juice. Is he better than Kuhn? No, for me, I'd say Kuhn's better. Maida? No, for me, I'd say Maida's better. Different types of player. But as I say, I'll wait for another few months and make a full judgment there. But I think the standards are dropping at this club so much that we're looking at these kind of players that come in, Tanecki come in, and you look very, very exciting. And there was a lot of the fans that have made kind of crazy judgments. He's better than Jota, etc. And the crazy kind of statements. We need to see this on a prolonged period of time. And as you say, he's not got the best conversion rate, whether that be assists and goals. So, as I say, I'll not make full judgment just now. He's doing relatively well in comparison to different wingers. But I think he should be offering a lot more in comparison to the wingers that we've had in the last few years. You look at their numbers, you look at their performances. I think they're offering a lot more than Tanecki is at present, but Tanecki has got potential there to improve, and we can only wait and see for that.
Brown Warriors, right? Again, I just hope Jota does get back to the level that he was at, or even better. He could come back, but for me, last night with Tanecki, Jota scores that, in my opinion. Jota takes that to the right and he scores. So, again, but there's no slouch on Tanecki. I think he's a young guy that will get better, but he's definitely going to get better for me in terms of his output. It's all right saying that he's good going forward and drives, and listen, I like that as well, but there's no point in driving at players and no taking people on and actually no doing it. Like Yang last night, I must admit, he was direct last night. I'm like, that's what you want. Be direct, but he was actually contributing last night. So, but no, I know we've got a wee tight schedule tonight, guys. So that is all for tonight. Again, thanks to your comments and your views. It's always appreciated. Please like and subscribe to the channel. It's much appreciated. It helps us go a long way. And it helps YouTube and yourselves put us out there. We will be back on Monday with Jonathan at 8 o'clock. Anything changes, we'll let you know. But as it stands at the moment, everything's set in stone for that. So it's a really good podcast. I'm looking forward to it. Jonathan's got a lot of detail for us, so it will be good to get Jonathan's opinion and give us a wee outlook from a different avenue. Jonathan is in Boston, he is in America, so he'll know more about Nancy than we will over here. Like Alan says, Google can be your best friend, but when you hear from somebody who's maybe in that type of industry and knows that side of the world, then it is better for us to listen to. So we will be back Monday, but please like and subscribe to the podcast. It helps us go a long way, and we are on all social media platforms. But until Monday, enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Hail, hail.
Sets up Larson here. In for Henrik Larsson, and Midfield! His first goal for Celtic!
Here is Shunsuke Nakamura! Exquisite!